I see these people on my website saying, if you don't like the TSA, don't fly. Well, they admit they're going on the streets of America. I mean, they're going into high school proms. I mean, it's incredible that all of this is happening, and so we've got to expose the fraud, the myth, the fable, the religion of 9/11, the idea that government is going to protect you from real terror attacks, provocateur terror attacks, staged terror attacks, manufactured, synthetic. There's all these different forms of terror attacks, and that's why we've got to expose the big lie of 9/11 that's launched all these wars. They said Saddam did it. You know, I mean, it's ongoing. Senator Gravel, thank you for joining us today to announce this new initiative.
Well, thank you for having me and giving us an audience that's attuned to conspiracy theories and really doesn't buy necessarily what the government has put out. Even the people in the commission that was appointed by Bush admitted that they were designed to fail. They didn't have enough money. They didn't have enough time. And several members called it a fraud. We need to know what's gone on. As you pointed out in your lead-up, here we have probably the most significant event in the last 100 years affecting our history, our survival as a democracy, and it needs to be investigated. We need to know what really happened leading up to 9/11, what happened on 9/11, and what happened in the aftermath of 9/11. And we don't know that. We do know that over the last 9 years, almost 10 years now, that private citizens on their own initiative have gone out and done unbelievable research, scientific research, analysis, and really that information, that knowledge, that data indicates that there's just something askew in what really happened, and we need to know it. Now, we're not saying that this party or that party are the guilty parties. What we're saying is the facts do not add up at this point in time, and it's in our national interest to investigate the situation to determine what really did happen and if there were other people involved in criminality. But we don't know that yet. We just know that it doesn't add up right now.
Well, I had, and this is important because it shows the people's tactics that are going to be used, the folks that want to suppress inquiry, investigation, transparency. The BBC came here to interview me, and I had agreed to the interview, but then forgot about it. Months later, they showed up, and I was kind of blindsided by it. And once I was in the interview, the individual interviewing me just kept giggling, and I would say, well, do you think passports can magically come out of the fireball in the plane and be found in all the bedlam? And he giggled and said, yes, I do. And it was real funny. So, I mean, I was dealing with a real mercenary. And then he said, don't you want to, to deny 9/11 truth? Don't you know it's dying? Don't you know it's been discredited when actually the opposite's happened according to all the polls and the evidence? And now I understand that they're going to people in the 9/11 truth movement who clearly are cognitive dissonance folks that Cass Sunstein talked about, infiltrators, who basically are called up, before the council to admit they're a witch and to denounce us and say that we're witches. It's kind of like that thing from 500 years ago. And he said, do you want to renounce your 9/11 trutherism? Everyone's renouncing it. And it's kind of like everybody knows the moon is made of cheese. Everybody knows they found WMDs in Iraq. So they're so desperate to prop up their fable, their conspiracy theory, that they're now going to incredible lengths, and they've got all these U.S. and foreign specials, British specials, BBC specials coming out, where they announce, that Ding Dong, the evil witch of 9/11 truth is dead, and it shows how desperate they are, Senator.
And it's not working. It's not working at all. Because I think any reasonable person looking at the situation can't quarrel with having an investigation. It's just so fundamental. When you don't have all the information, having an investigation is just logical, and that's really the whole case that we make. We're not we're not defining a conspiracy. We're just saying that there's enough questions that require an investigation. And since the body politic, my God, the politicians are frightened of this, and they think it's a poison pill for their own careers if they even step forward and say something on it. And so what we need is what we're doing, which is beginning to take ordinary citizens and bring them to the fore in pressing for this investigation.
Well, we're going to talk about the new initiative, but people tend to forget now, coming up just a few months away, 3 months away now, or less, 10-year anniversary, that 6 of the 10 9/11 commissioners say that it was either a complete fraud and a lie and a criminal cover-up by the, quote, Pentagon and White House, or a partial cover-up in the aftermath. Of the 3 lawyers, 2 of the lawyers, Farmer and others, have come out and said it's a criminal cover-up. Cheney and Bush testified not under oath but in secret. I mean, it just goes on and on. Folks forget the commission itself, after the fact, came out and said it was a fraud because they know later the truth's going to come out, and they had pangs of conscience.
That's accurate, Alex. And that alone, forget all the other data, with respect to Building 7 and all of that, but that alone requires a new investigation. Without going into any conspiracies, we're just saying that the people who were charged with investigating it have said we didn't do the job, and they've said even worse, as you pointed out. So how could anybody question the efficacy of going forth with not asking the government, because we know we'll not get justice from the government, but asking the people in various states, do you want a new investigation? And if they vote in the affirmative for the initiative, then a body comes into being, a citizens commission comes into being, which then other states, by initiative or resolution, can tie into with a joint powers agreement. And so we can broaden the geographic reach of this commission right across the country, even though we don't have it in federal law at a national level.
And by the way, the feds are obviously very scared of this. They tried to get a state investigation and then the city investigation in New York. Even though they had the signatures, the courts wouldn't let it come forward. They are kicking and screaming. They do not want independent investigations to draw attention to the complete nonsensical fairy tale. You know, because the media, the corporate globalist media, always says, well, you have all these different views and ideas, because we don't know the truth. We're investigating. There's a whole sea of different ideas. A lot of them have been proven to be operatives that go in to try to, say ridiculous things to discredit real inquiry. And we're seeing that's the new initiative with the BBC. I've been just confirmed some information this morning which blows me away, but we have to continue to collate the information. The system is very scared and trying to rewrite history again back to their false narrative, but it's not going to work.
No, I don't think so, and I think that this approach, it's an actionable approach. What we've had within the 9/11 truth movement is essentially the gathering of information and data. What we're now doing is taking this information and saying, hey, we need a legitimate investigation. The government's not going to give it to us, so we need to use the only tool at our disposal, which exists in 24 states where people can make laws directly. And so we're going to be using that, whether California, Oregon, Massachusetts, Colorado, Alaska, Arkansas, we'll be using that vehicle to get the people to make the decision, or ask the people to make the decision, should an investigation go forward, should we create a new commission. Now, to do that, Alex, the rub is will we be able to raise the monies? Nobody in the leadership role here is well endowed financially, but will we be able to raise the contributions from ordinary citizens, maybe a few angels, to get this undertaking on its way and get the information to the American people as to what they can do.
Senator Gravel, stay there. Let's come back and talk about the new initiative in detail. Stay with us. So, codify exactly the new site, when it's launching, what you plan to do with this new initiative.
website is 9-11 or just 911cc.org, and CC stands for the Campaign Committee. And now, what the initiative does, it permits people to be able to vote for or against creating a new commission that will be appointed by the board of directors of the Campaign Committee, and that commission or that language will set up a transfer of the political jurisdiction in questions power, grand jury powers, to be able to subpoena, to be able to put people under oath, and to be able to provide a report of indictment that would be turned over to the jurisdiction in question. Now, once we can get this initiative enacted into a single state or a number of states on a parallel fashion, then other states will be able to, by initiative or by law of their legislative bodies, join this commission and add their jurisdiction, their grand jury powered jurisdiction to the commission. And so if we start, let's say, with Oregon, Alaska, and then Massachusetts, and then California can tie into, you got to look upon it as we're creating a bucket of powers, grand jury powers, and other states can decide to jump in and be part of that body of powers. And not only states, but local jurisdictions that have initiative powers, like New York City and over 50 in the state of Texas, where they can, by law, either legislative by the people with initiatives, or their governments can choose to just join the effort. And as people across the country realize what this commission can do, there will be a lot of effort, a lot of political power pushing legislators to join in this investigation. And so it's a de facto national initiative that we're creating by filing it in various states. Now, the success of being able to do this is all dependent upon, can we raise the money from ordinary citizens who put up $10, $20, $100 that will permit us to fund this undertaking. And the funding of the commission itself can come from the various jurisdictions across the country.
Well, I mean, explain this to me, because I think it's a good idea to have investigations and have grand juries be contacted, or have state commissions or even city commissions, because if a city lost any of its citizens, it can do it. New York obviously would be the ideal place. That's been tried. They got the signatures, but it was blocked, even though the law said they should have done it. But I mean, what about an initiative just to get it on referendums in states, to have a state have a commission? I mean, in law, because I know you're a former U.S. Senator, you know a lot, so explain it to me. How are you going to get states to say, yes, we're now going, pass this resolution, now we're going to bring in this, this commission, that you guys have created? Or is your commission more of an advisory movement to get the state to set up its own commission?
No, God, no, it's not an advisory. This is real. What we do is, by passing an initiative in any one state, let's say we pass it in Oregon, where it takes less than 100,000 people to vote for it. If the people vote to create this commission, any other states, by initiative or by law enacted through their legislatures, can join that commission once it's in existence. And that's what we will have.
And the constitutional lawyers say this passes muster,
yeah, that's for sure. In fact, it's a takeoff on what we had historically. You remember the terminology, a runaway grand jury. Well, what had happened was, before the government covered its backside by changing the law, people could form a grand jury and go ahead and investigate. Well, they were investigating the criminality of government, and so this was so threatening that the law was changed.
No, I understand. That's why they've turned juries and grand juries into kept creatures of the prosecution. Well, Senator Gravel, we're definitely going to have to get you back up in the near future. This initiative is, I guess, being launched right now. The site's up. It looks great, and if folks want to find out more or feel that you think this is a good initiative to get involved with, to donate, 911cc.org and or mikegravel.us. You'll find links there. Senator, have a great weekend, and thanks for all your great work investigating the tragic events of 9/11.
Thank you, Alex, for having us on.